Oh, well, today we're going to talk about how you can work 15% less than you currently do, maybe 25% less than you currently do, maybe even 40% less than you currently do, and produce better results. Holy cow. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I've been talking about it and writing about it for years. My books like Relax More, Try Less, and Money Your Friend go into detail about ways of doing this. If you haven't read those books, you can get them on Amazon. Um, and yeah, I mean, I love talking about this because it's really changed how I look at work and getting things done. I think most of you watching this video already know some of these ideas, and at the same time, I think we all need to be reminded about them kind of continuously because it's so easy to get off track and to basically work more than we need to. Um, Now, obviously, there's going to be caveats and nuances to this. If you're working in the type of job where it's simply production, and like if you usually work 8 hours a day and you start only working 6.5 hours a day, and there's something that needs to be produced, there's definitely a chance that you're going to produce more in 8 hours than you would in only 6.5 hours of work. All right. That being said, generally speaking, most of the people watching this and the people certainly my clients are people who are in the entrepreneurial space or the creative space where they make their own hours a lot of the time. Or even if they have a set number of hours they work per week, which most entrepreneurs do not. But even if you do just have a regular 9 to 5 type of job, it's not so much about actual physical results every day. It's what you bring to the table and what you're able to produce over the course of a week or a month or a year that really counts, right? That's what I'm talking about in terms of getting far better results often by working less, by trying less. This is the paradox of our psychology that, again, we need to just remind ourselves of constantly. And it's the kind of thing that I think it's beneficial to have other people talk about it, whether it's a coach or a group or a book you read or whatever, because it's one thing to remind ourselves about it, but it's another thing to hear somebody else talking about it, doing it in their own life or helping you do it, right? Because what so often happens is we have our blind spots. We're like, oh, I know that I could be working less and potentially producing better stuff, or that there's a solution to this problem. But we're so wrapped up that it's hard for us to really figure out what that is. This video, we're going to talk about how you can more easily figure out what it is and what to do to make it easier. But before I get to that, I do want to mention that I'm planning on starting a new small mastermind group in the coming weeks that is going to deal specifically with, this work-life balance and being more creative, getting better results by working less, dealing with these kind of very practical issues. If you're interested, link is in the description to contact me, or you can just email me, info@radicalcounselor.com. Because as I said, I think for almost all of us, it's good to have another set of eyes or a small group of people to bounce stuff off of when it comes to these issues we face in terms of working more than we need to and not being as productive as we want. This is what happens for most of us, including me, okay? I'm not saying I'm perfect. Nobody is perfect at this. We tend to focus on something we want, especially if we are actually successful at getting things done. But when we focus on it, we often overcompensate using our conscious mind and start striving and grinding and hustling to get the results we want, not realizing that we lose that creative flow a lot of the time when we grind too much, when we're hustling too much. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not one of those kind of people that just says you can sit on your butt and get what you want. Sure, that can sometimes happen, but I think if you go about life that way, you are going to be sorely disappointed a lot of the time. I'm someone who believes that we should relax more, we should use our imagination more, and we should take a lot of action, right? But what happens is we often are taking too much misdirected, or you could say unaligned action, where it's like, oh, there's a deadline. I want to produce this. Instead of working 8 hours a day, I'm going to work 12 hours a day. And working harder is going to solve the problem. And again, if this is like purely a production numbers thing, maybe it will. You can get more done potentially in 12 hours in terms of like, if you're building something, than you can in 8 hours, right? But most of you are not physically building something or that results oriented. It's more like there's something creative you have to do, or there's something big picture you have to do if you're running a business, right? So we need solutions that are fed by our imagination. And guess what? Working 12 hours as opposed to 8 hours is not going to provide you that solution necessarily. Actually, it might actually impede the solution coming to you, because the solution you need for creative endeavors or a lot of business entrepreneurial endeavors is imaginative. It's a creative solution where the seas part and you finally are able to walk through to the other side. And before you couldn't envision that. Envisioning something often means slowing down, relaxing more, and giving yourself the time, the space, perhaps each day, to not focus on that goal, to not focus on that result, but to really allow yourself the space to be here. When we drop the focus momentarily, whether it's for a minute, 10 minutes, half an hour, couple hours, often the solution that we are looking for will suddenly pop up imaginatively. I'm sure you've experienced this in your life. I have countless times. You probably have too. For creative endeavors, for, big picture business endeavors, for getting things done, being able to relax more and try less is often the solution. It will enable you to work less and come up with better ideas. Actually, what I'm basically telling you is discipline yourself, this is difficult if you are entrepreneurial. Discipline yourself to work less and give yourself more time to just relax. Not think about what you have to do next, but just to imaginatively be there. And you can do that meditatively, like we talk about all the time. Or you can do that through physical action. Some people like to, bike or do yoga or do kickboxing, for gosh sake. Something that can be physically exertive, but it allows their mind to go about things in a totally different way. And by relaxing into the moment of doing that physical exertion, all of a sudden, in the middle of doing that, or perhaps later when they're in the shower or just driving home, the idea comes. I start most days by lying in bed and just allowing myself to be there. No pressure. The thoughts often do come. They might come for you too, of like, oh, what do I have to do today? What do I have to do? But you can train yourself, discipline yourself, be gentle with yourself to just let those thoughts come and realize that's not what you're really working on right now. You're just lying down, sitting down, whatever, relaxing. And give yourself space to go deeper and deeper and deeper, deeper into relaxation, deeper into your imagination. And when you do that, things click. And that's like, for me, creatively, I'm able to produce a ton of stuff content-wise. And I never run out of ideas because I'm not putting a lot of pressure on myself. It doesn't mean that I don't put any pressure on myself. It doesn't mean during the day I'm not thinking about stuff I want to do tomorrow or later this week or maybe write or what have you. It just means that I have afforded myself enough time off, enough space creatively, big picture wise, where the space takes care of the creativity, the real creative stuff. And it also allows me, like, I've got a busy schedule. I've got 2 young kids where sometimes when like I just feel relaxed, like in the morning, like maybe, again, I wake up, I'm lying in bed, I'm kind of just meditating in this non-judgmental way. I might feel stressed at first. I might feel stressed for 10, 15, 20 minutes. But then maybe some clarity comes and I feel okay with where I'm at. Then, I have coffee, the kids are dropped at work. I sit down at 9 o'clock and I'm shocked what's done by noon. I've worked 3 hours and produced more content or done more creatively than I know a lot of creators in my field can do in a week. That's because I'm giving myself more space. But this takes practice. This takes work. And it also takes a kind of self-regulation where you have to be honest with yourself. And I have difficulty with this. I think most people do. And I think that's why it helps to have someone, kind of call you out, or to someone to ask you, like, what are you spending your time on? Right? Because like for me, what I often notice is like I'm super creative for a few hours, but then the afternoon I might still be working. But like those next 4 or 5 hours of work are like not nearly as productive. And honestly, a lot of time I don't think I need to do them. A lot of the time I think I could be getting more done creatively in a couple hours than I could be in 8 hours. Most of us, if you're doing something creative, if you're doing something where you're running a business, you only have a few hours of peak flow performance a lot of the time, in my experiences. Now, there are exceptions, right? You can be in flow the whole day, but I know like when I have clients the whole day, like when I'm talking to a lot of people, I'm exhausted by the end of the day. I can't do that every day usually. I wouldn't want to do that every day. But there is a way to give yourself more breaks, to relax more, to not always be trying and worrying about what you have to do next, and to get more done, and to get better stuff done. Certainly to work 15% less, 20% less than you probably do now. And I think we have to assess, what are we spending time on? And we have to be honest with ourselves. Am I giving myself enough time to just relax during the day, or regularly relaxed? Regularly allow myself space instead of worrying about what I have to do next, just to be. Whatever that looks like for you. Like, when I do a mindfulness activity, when I'm meditating, I'm not meditating or doing a mindfulness activity to get somewhere. I'm doing it to do it. But what I'm saying is, because I do it to do it, stuff then gets done. That creative burst is there because it's given the space to show up. If the space is not there, everything seems stuck. But when you give yourself space, that's often when the ideas come. So anyway, I know many of you resonate with this approach. Like I said, I've spoken about it, written a lot about it over the years. Actually, I'll put a link below to a seminar I did right when Money Your Friend, that book, came out, talking about it. You can watch that seminar, read the book if you haven't, and by all means, reach out to me if you're interested in this new small mastermind. Until next time, relax more, try less. It's worth it.